Good morning. Happy Tuesday. We're going to start on our backs today. So go ahead and just grab whatever you need. Maybe something for our yoga belt for stretching if you like. And let me just, yes, take your time getting down, comfortable. All right. Need your water. Let's see. That. And okay. Sorry, I just need to readjust for a second. And just get down on your back, and then you can kind of come bring your legs to a Baddha Konasana. So just like soles of the feet together, or have those the feet kind of towards the edges of the mat, and then kind of let those knees fall into each other. And just go ahead and take a big breath. Just relax, let everything go. Close your eyes. And we're going to start those rounds of Ujjayi breath. Imagining that kind of shape of a Christmas tree. So filling up the belly to its full capacity. That navel kind of moves up towards the ceiling. Fill up the lungs. Imagine filling up all the way to the crown of your head. Every single millimeter of space inside of your body. Exhaling from the top of your head, emptying those lungs and then drawing that navel in, emptying that belly. And then going in, starting that round of breath again, just really opening that rib cage, making space. And exhalation, just let everything go. Any just worries, concerns, tasks you're thinking about. Just kind of let that dissipate. Release. Before you start your next inhalation, you can take one hand to the belly, one hand to the chest. You'd like to feel that breath, feel those waves of breath as they rise from the tailbone up to the chest. Just fully aware of breath, what the breath is doing, where it's moving in your body. Letting that breath just help you feel calm, centered. Exhalation is just releasing a little more. Releasing any expectations and just letting yourself be present just in the moment. And just a few more, letting that belly open up, letting that navel rise up towards the ceiling. On the exhalation, drawing that navel in. On the next inhalation, go ahead and just gently open the eyes. And then from here, we're gonna take our body long, really long stretch. So really taking your mind's eye to those fingertips and then pointing those toes, just taking them, just a body scan from the tops of those fingertips down the arms, the shoulders, sides of the body, the tummy, the back, legs, knees, all the way down to the toes. And go ahead and flex and point those feet a few times. You can alternate, kind of waking up the feet. Maybe just trying to like spread those toes out. And we'll do that, just waking up the ankles. And then we'll move those ankles to the right side of the mat. Scooch those arms and shoulders over to the right to get stretch that crescent pose, that banana pose, and just open through the left side of the body. Breathe into those joints, into any tight areas. Big, deep, even breaths into the belly. And release. Just scooch back to the center. And then go over to the other side. Opening to that right side of the body. Reaching to the fingertips. I'm feeling that stretch down the arm, opening in the armpits, along that torso, almost imagining those ribs kind of floating apart. And down the leg, all the way down to the heel. Just opening, making space. And then awareness on the breath. You could kind of soften your gaze. You could even have your eyes closed. Release any tension you might be holding in your face. Let that tongue be loose in your mouth. Just soften those cheeks into the jaw. And release, come back to center. And bend the knees. And press down through all four corners of those feet. Bring those arms down to the sides. We're just going to inhale up those hips towards the ceiling. Just a bridge pose. Wake up the back of the body a little bit. Press through all four corners of the feet. With every inhalation, from those hip points a little closer to the ceiling. We're pressing to the arms. Arms are strong. And release. Come slowly back down. And inhale that right leg up. Just make it, it doesn't have to be all the way straight. We're just going to press through that heel. And then go ahead and bring that ankle to that left knee. Press that knee away from the body. We're keeping that low back attached to the mat. So maybe a tiny tug of the tailbone. That lower rib cage feels heavy. Keeping that right foot flexed. And then from here, we're just going to let the knees just fall over to the right. Just kind of going into a little back stretch. And if this might be a little intense, so just release this top leg. You can scooch back those hips. Just kind of adjust to what feels comfortable here. It's just a gentle back twist. So release into that. You can cactus those arms. You can bring the arms up to the T. Big breaths, and then just releasing. Nice gentle stretch, waking up that back. Soften the gaze towards the ceiling. Let their shoulders melt into the mat. And inhale up those knees. From here, just kind of rocking those knees from right to left just a couple times. Just waking up that low back. It's a nice kind of different way of stretching. Fast or slow. And then bringing those knees just bent, knees point out to the ceiling. Right, inhale up that left leg. Pressing through that left heel. Soften, lengthen to the back of that hamstring. And then bring that heel to the knee. Flex that left foot, press that knee away from the body. Let those ribs feel heavy again. So feeling that attachment from the low back to the mat. And then also pressing down through all four corners of that right foot. Paying attention to our foundation as we press that left knee away from the body. Bring the arms up to a cactus, maybe. Soften through the face again. Close the eyes if you like. And we're go ahead and just gently bring those knees, just drop them to the left. And then if this feels good, keeping that left ankle on top of that right knee, then you can stay that way or just release it. And then kind of get into that lower body stretch, just however. You can always move those hips just that towards the center of the mat. Just finding what feels good, what helps you sort of release into that pose. And once you're there, just reconnecting with the breath. Notice what the breath is doing. Just giving our low back some extra attention, always protecting the mobility in that area. It's so important. And then bring those knees back up to center. You're going to bring those knees into the chest. Grab those knees with your hands and just we're going to take some circles with the knees, clockwise direction. Feel that massage on the back. If there's like one spot that needs a little attention, you can kind of stop there, go back and forth. Just kind of feeling out where that feels good. Change directions. And then pulling those knees up into the chest. And let those knees fall away, and then let them fall out away from each other. Soften to the hip flexor, and then we'll just pull those in. Using those arms like oars. And drop, soften, pulling in. Each knee making its own separate circular motion. Just a few more of those. And release, bring those feet down. Pull those knees in, cross those ankles, grab the shins, roll a few times. Another passive stretch for that back and then coming out. Just take your time getting into a seated position, some extra cushion, but take something else to sit on. Help you. I think that helps you kind of lift and lengthen. Just paying attention to the hips, the foundation, grounding down, feeling really connected to the mat. Hands to the knees. Inhale, lengthen through the crown of the head. Exhale, take that chin towards that chest for lengthening through the back of the neck. And start to just draw circles, counterclockwise with that nose. Slowly, mindfully. Just really careful that you should pinch or hurt. Just always being really mindful with your neck. If you ever feel discomfort, just stopping, just making sure that every stretch feels good and not painful. And change directions. Draw circles in the air with that nose, clockwise. Just noticing those different muscles through the tops of the shoulders, the tops of the back, the chest, as you draw those circles, change directions. Softening all those muscles around the neck, all the muscles that are attached to. And then change directions just one more time. Start to make the circles smaller. And then just come to center. Inhale, lengthen, lift the sternum. We're going to exhale, come forward, bring those hands forward. And then just walk those forward. That nose comes down towards the floor. Lengthen through the back of the neck. Feeling that softening to the hips. Breathe into those hips. Release any tension on the exhalation, any tightness. See if you can crawl those fingers just a little bit further forward. Walk those hands over to the right. Reaching from that hip all the way to that left fingertips. Still lengthening to the back of the neck. It's just a tiny chin tuck here. Walk those hands back to center. One breath here. And then walking those hands over to the left. Reaching through the right fingertips, almost pulling back the mind's eye with that right hip. Feeling that opening there, that softening. Letting any tension in your hip just dissipate, evaporate, soften. And then the hands come back to center. And slowly walking those hands back in, come back up, inhale. All right, exhale, bring that right hand down to the right side of the body and just reaching up and over with that left arm. Keeping both of those hips really attached to that mat. Inhale up, wake up those arms. Come down to the other side. Inhale up. Face as palms forward. Pull those elbows down. Just one time. Inhale up. Exhale. Right hand down. Reach over and gently open up here. And then we're going to release. Bring this left hand down to the right knee. And then with the right hand, we're just going to bring those fingertips to the shoulder. We're kind of going to just like loop it back towards the back of the mat. So usually we bring our hand down here for that twist, but this kind of gives you an opportunity to really do all that twisting with your core. Sometimes you might have a tendency to really crank, do all that twisting with your hands. So just really kind of informs your torso that it needs to lift and twist. Taking that gaze towards the back of the mat. Lifting through the sternum. Exhale, pull that navel in towards the spine. And release, unwind. Come down to that left hand, reaching up, and then just kind of spinning open here, open up that chest to the ceiling. And release that hand to the knee. Bring those fingertips softly to the shoulder. And go ahead and just kind of loop, kind of hook that towards the back of the mat. So we're really lengthening, lifting, and then kind of twisting, taking that gaze a little further back towards the back of the mat. The inhalation, letting that vertebrae just lengthen. The exhalation, just twisting a tiny bit more. And release and gently unwind. And bring those arms out, or wake up the arms, give yourself a hug and pull those shoulders down. Lengthen through the back of the neck. And then whichever arm is on top, we're just going to bring that across the body and just kind of get that massage. And hook it with your arm that's on the bottom. And release, shake out the arms, and we're going to reach out again. And then give yourself a hug. The arm comes on top. This time, pull down the shoulders and lengthen through the back of the neck. Softening our gaze just past her nose. And then taking the arm across the body, working that arm into just a hook here. And release, shake the arms out, and bring those hands together in front and just kind of do a couple of wrist rolls here. We do so much work, so we give our wrists some extra tension today. And release. From here, I'm going to bring the soles of the feet together for Baddha Konasana. So just grabbing those feet. You can always massage those arches while you're here. That feels good. Lift up, nice tall breath, and then bringing that nose down towards the floor in front of you, keeping those knees kind of pressed away from your body. You can always take those elbows and kind of press them away, but that's not necessary. Just want to keep a nice long spine, never too much hunching. Just kind of lifting through that crown of the head and lengthening to the back of the neck. Softening through those hip flexors. Follow the breath. Always coming back to the breath if your awareness wanders away from those nice, deep, even breaths that we're taking. And release. We're going to lengthen that right leg and bring that left foot in. Bring this left hand over. We're just going to reach. Nice little side stretch, and we're going to sweep across, come forward, and then walk those hands over towards the lengthened leg, pressing through that right heel. Nose comes down towards the knee or the shin. You can grab your shin, ankle, foot, or if you have like something for a yoga strap, you can wrap that around the sole of the feet, the foot. Draw that navel in towards that spine, pressing that left knee down, pressing down to the back of the right knee, engaging that quad. And release, slowly come up. We'll just switch legs. And that right hand over, we're going to reach. And then just kind of circling around. Bring those hands down in front. And slowly walking those over to the left leg. Grab the shins, the ankles, the feet. The nose comes down towards the shin. Sucking up that kneecap again. Pressing that right knee away from the body. Again, and then lengthening the knee to the back of the neck. Draw that navel in and see if that nose comes closer to the shin. Notice if you're holding any tension in your face, in your cheeks, and then release if you are. And release. Go ahead and straighten that right leg. And then you can always push those hips forward if you want a deeper stretch here. You can even keep those knees a little bent if you need to. That feels better. And we're pressing through those heels. Bring those hands out in front and just walk those forward. Nose down towards the floor, towards the mat. Active through those legs, pressing down through the backs of those knees, which will make you engage that quad. Press through the heels. Once again, drawing that navel in and see if that kind of creates space to let you walk those hands a little bit further forward. Just really active in the legs and the core. And slowly walk those hands back in. And bring those legs out in front and just bend those kind of a little bit further than hip width apart. Bring those hands kind of behind. Those fingers point towards the back of the mat. And go ahead and just kind of rock those knees once again from right to left. So this will feel like it's kind of shaking out and stretching out that low back again. It's kind of soft, slow motion. Lift to the sternum and then just let those knees fall to the right. Take that gaze to the left. And release, inhale up. Let those knees fall to the other side. Lifting. And then exhaling from that gaze towards the right. And bring those knees back out. From here, we're going to take a little deeper hip stretch. So keep those fingers pointed towards the back of the mat. Feet are hip width apart. We're just gonna lift those hips up, bring that ankle on top of that left knee, and then settle back down. And then finding the length in your stance that'll help you release that right hip. This is always a more intense stretch, and then just lengthening that stance is a more gentle version, just to find the length that works for you. So lifting through that sternum, nice open chest. Foot is flexed. We're maintaining that contact with the left foot. And release. And shake out the arms. Bring those hands back down, and then we'll do the other side. So just lifting up, bring that left knee, left ankle over that right knee. Find your stance, find that length that allows you to kind of take that deeper stretch into that left hip. Feeling that opening across the chest, the lifting of the sternum, softening of the left hip. And release. Come up, shake those hands out, and then we're just going to turn it over and go to a tabletop position. So bring those hands underneath wrists underneath the shoulders. Sorry, I can't talk today. Spreading out those fingers, knees under the hips. Press down into the tops of those feet. Just let those hips ease back for a moment. And coming up, maybe just forward a little bit. Nice little wrist stretch. Just going back and forth, letting that spine feel nice and long. And come back to a neutral position. You're going to inhale and then press that belly down, come into cow. Exhale, round, tuck the tailbone, tuck the chin around the back. Inhale. Press that belly down, pulling those shoulders back. And exhale, and rounding. Drawing that navel in, up and up towards the ceiling. And then just with your own breath, the pace of your own breath, take a few more rounds of that cat and cow. It's opening up and waking up all those muscles around the spine, all those muscles in the tummy. And maybe moving anywhere that feels good, maybe from side to side or through circular motions. Wherever you feel you want to move, whatever space you want to move into. You take a couple circular motions here, which will kind of give you an extra wrist stretch, and then kind of let you just even soften those hips up a little more, which is really commonplace. We hold tension besides our shoulders and the body. And come back to a neutral position. We're going to press back to the right heel, soften to that right calf muscle. And just back and forth a little bit. And we're going to bring that foot across. And just kind of coming at an angle, just for a breath. Bring that foot back, and then we're going to inhale up, lift through that hamstring. So we're really engaging that hamstring, glutes, core. Stay in your that left arm. One more breath. And release. Inhale, one quick cow, and then exhale, cat. And then back to neutral position. Press through those left toes, the left heel, soften back and forth a few times. And then just kind of sliding that foot over so we're coming at an angle. So pulling that navel in towards the spine. And then just let that travel back. And we're lifting. Make sure those hips are level. Spreading out those toes and then staying here, adding that right arm for the full bird dog position pose. Working all those muscles in the core and the back. Let that breath carry you through the pose. And release down. Let those knees come wide and we're going to soften back. Reach forward and let that forehead just come down to the mat. And if it feels good, you can kind of roll your forehead here from side to side. You're going to extra stretch in the shoulders. You can press those elbows down, bring those hands to a prayer, and then bring those hands behind the head towards the middle of the shoulders. And then release, just reaching forward, let everything just release and relax into the mat for a breath or two. And slowly coming back up. And you can keep those knees kind of wide. We're going to inhale up through that right elbow. Take this, maybe extend the arm all the way and then thread that needle, bring that right shoulder down. Reach forward and just let that shoulder melt into the mat. The other place in our body where we hold a lot of tension. Just feeling that tension just evaporate, dissipate into the mat. Breathe into the belly and exhalation, letting every muscle in the shoulder just soften and release. You close your eyes. And then bend that left arm. We're going to press up. Inhale up through that left elbow and then just reach up. Extend that arm all the way. And then through the needle, bring that left shoulder down. Reach forward with that right hand and we're letting that left shoulder just release and soften and melt down into the mat. Just letting go of any tension in the shoulder. Everything melts and releases. And bend that right arm. We're going to press up. Bring those knees to a hip, right underneath the hips. We're going to spread those fingers, tuck those toes, and send those hips back. Downward facing dog. Start to walk the dog. And move anything you need to out of the way. And we're going to start to build some more heat in the body. Just pedaling out those legs. That middle finger's pointing towards the top of the mat. Those ears are by the biceps. Pressing those back through those heels, either on or maybe off the mat. And if it doesn't already, the downward facing dog will eventually start to feel like a resting pose rather than a very active pose that feels like a lot of work. And release, walk those feet up to the hands. Pressing down to all four corners of those feet. Really take those toes and just grip that mat. Let that head hang down. Grab opposite elbows, ragdoll, let everything release. So pressing down to all four corners of the feet. So let the top part of the body just sway. Neck soften, shake yes, no. Release those hands down. Inhale to slide those hands up, gaze forward. And exhale, and we're just going to step that left foot back and come into a lunge. Knees over that ankle, lifting into that back hamstring, strong to those legs. And then slowly bringing that knee down. Plant that left hand. Inhale, gentle twist up. Exhale, come right back down. And really engaging that core. And inhale up, sweep those arms up. Pull back through that right hip crease. Pull those shoulders down away from the neck. Strong for that core. Maintain that stability. And then releasing those hands down, lengthening through that front leg. And flex that front foot, that right foot. And then kind of slowly hinging at the hips, come into that runner stretch. That softening to the back of the knee. This side is light, is a little funky. I put my shades down. I don't know why it's shining so bright on my head. At any rate, just focus on your runner stretch here. Soften to the back of that knee. Toes up to the ceiling. And release. Those hips just fall forward and soften. Bring that hands into the foot. Take a quick lizard pose here. And release. Toe that foot back to center. We're going to tuck those back toes and then come into that pyramid pose. So you know kind of this length that you need here. Got these feet are hip width apart. We're pressing through those feet, sucking at those kneecaps. Split that mat apart. Those legs are strong. They're on our fingertips, hands. Breathe. Nice, deep, even breaths. And then we're going to bring that left foot to meet that right foot. And just take a quick forward fold here. Just pressing to all four corners of those feet. Bring that nose towards the knee. Inhale, slide those hands up the shins. And exhale, and we will step that right foot back. Lift through that back hamstring. Nice strong lunge. Strengthening those legs. Slowly bring that knee down. Land that right hand. Inhale up, gentle stretch. Exhale, come back down. And engaging that core before we sweep those arms up. Pull those shoulders away from the ears. And pressing down to the top of that right foot. Pulling back through that left hip crease. And then releasing those arms while straightening that front leg, coming into that runner stretch, hands at the hips. Keeping that spine nice and long, lifting to the crown of the head, and then coming down, fingertips and hands. Left toes pointed up to the ceiling. It's coming back to the breath. And release, let the tips just fall forward. And that left hand to the inside of the foot, heel toe that out for lizard. Soften through that hip flexors. And let's check in with your hips, your hip flexors. How do they feel? I feel like we've done a lot of, given them lots of opportunity to kind of open up and soften today. Heel toe that foot back in the center. We're going to tuck those back toes and then setting up for that pyramid pose. So straighten both of those legs. Finding that stance. Pressing through those feet. Pulling that navel in towards the spine and then taking that nose down towards the shin. Suck up those kneecaps. One more breath here. Letting those legs feel strong. And from here, we're going to just kind of slightly bend both of those knees. Bring those hands out, kind of press down through those palms. And we're just going to step that left foot back and come into a downward facing dog. Protecting those wrists, mindful of the fingers, where you're putting your weight on your hands. It's really distributing that through the palm, through the fingers. You really want most of the weights kind of in this index finger and thumb. Maybe just a little micro bend in the elbows. You don't want to lock out those joints. And then release from those knees down. Inhale, come up, hook those thumbs and just above those hips, bring those elbows towards the back of the room. Pressing down through the tops of the feet, really engaging these hamstrings and glutes, and then just opening up that chest. You gaze up and just be really, really careful with your low back as always. This is eventually kind of leads to a camel pose. So nice kind of opener, heart opener after doing so many forward bends. And release. We'll come down, just sink those hips down and into a seated position. And those legs out long. Pressing through those feet. So still very active. This is a lot of work. I'm sucking up my kneecaps, engaging those quads, pressing down to the backs of the knees. Press those hands. And we'll inhale up, reach, hinge at the hips, come forward, grab the shins, ankles, over the feet, and pull that nose towards the knees. And release. We're going to bend that right knee. I'm going to sneak in a sage pose, just because I think it's so important. This pose, especially at this time of year, it's so detoxifying. It's so good for your digestion and massaging those internal organs. So lifting and taking that gaze towards the back of the mat. Always bring that arm down. Pressing to that left heel. Lifting to the sternum And release, unwind. And switch those legs, bring that left hands back, inhale up. Then bringing that elbow to the outside of the knee, gaze towards the back of the mat, and then we'll press with that right heel. Inhaling, lengthening, imagining that spine, that vertebrae is just lengthening. The exhalation, taking the gaze a little further back towards the back of the room. Just kind of getting everything moving inside the torso and inside your tummy. And release, slowly unwind. Grab the backs of those hamstrings and we're just going to roll back. From the knees, just rock from side to side. It's like a T, just drop those knees to the right side of the body. You can lengthen the top leg. Gaze opposite direction. And then return to the breath. Pull those knees back into center. And then just drop them down to the other side of the body. See, you're practicing those arms, release into that gentle spinal twist. And release. Pull those knees back in. And we'll just lengthen the legs and come into your pose for Shavasana. So just getting comfortable. Open the palms to the ceiling. Inhale. Big deep breath. Exhale. Gently close the eyes and let everything go. Everything melts into the mat. Everything softens. Following that breath. Breathe in relaxation. On exhalation, just letting everything melt down to the mat. Letting the muscles in the face release. The cheeks, the jaw, tongue is loose in the mouth. And the next exhalation, let the shoulders melt, soften. Traveling down the arms to the fingertips, everything widens and releases. Down the back, with the low back, the hips, the hamstrings melt and soften into the mat. Backs of the knees, the calf muscles, ankles, feet, toes. Release, widen, soften. Every muscle releases into the mat and into the pose. Just continue to follow that breath. Breathe in relaxation and releasing on the exhalation. And slowly start to bring your awareness back to your breath, to your body. Just wiggle those fingers and toes. Rock that head from side to side. Bend the knees. And just slowly roll your arms to the right side of your body. Pressing up with your arms, coming into a seated position. Bring those hands to heart center. On the inhalation, gently open the eyes. Just blink a few times. And namaste. Well, thanks for joining me this morning. I hope to see you tomorrow morning, and if my schedule permits, I'm probably, because of COVID, will be here. Because I think we're still kind of quarantining. I might teach on Thursday morning, so if people have family in town for Christmas and you want to do it together, that might be fun. So, but I will send an email out tomorrow. It's not set in stone, so definitely tomorrow morning, maybe Thursday morning. And yeah, have a great rest of your day.